You can do commercial cleaning as well, like
Okay.
office buildings.
Yeah.
I actually just got a contract just last week.
Okay.
It's a $3,000 contract per month plus other incentives too, and that's like I'll probably be working or have somebody in there working, let's say, like 10 hours a week. If I wanted to have somebody working in that commercial office, so let's say 10 hours a week, at the end of the month, I still would be profiting $1,000 on that.
What's good, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast, and I'm with my guy Erin Purdue of Family Value Cleaning Services. And you may have seen this guy on YouTube. You may even have his book, where it's called Corporate Lie to Service Guy, where he helps people start their own service-based business to do six figures. He has an amazing story of when he went from working in corporate, where a lot of you guys may be right now, and then it just seemed like a big lie. It didn't seem like what he wanted it to be. And he's got a great story of how he was able to become his own entrepreneur. And hopefully by the end of this podcast, you guys will have a completely different mindset on what you can do and how you can start a low overhead service-based business, even if it's part-time, and still make six figures. So welcome to the show, my guy, Erin.
What's up, Tony, man? I like the introduction.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit about, we're going to get into your story and everything, but tell us about just the service-based business and what your view is it for people and why service, you know what I'm saying? Like, it may not be the prettiest thing or anything like that, but what's so good about service-based business to you?
Well, like you said, I'm the owner of Family Value Cleaning Services, and I provide residential and carpet cleaning services and commercial carpet cleaning services. I also do hardwood floor maintenance. Now, the good thing about that is what I learned from other businesses that I started prior to this that did not work out is that what a service-based business does for you, it gives you four key components that will contribute to the sustainability of your business. The first thing is mobility. The second thing is low overhead. The third thing is high margin. And then the fourth thing is you have to have market demand for your product or service. So with a service-based business, you get those four key components that you'll need, and it will actually contribute to the sustainability of your business.
Got you. So when you're working a service-based business, why would you say somebody should look at service-based business over possibly starting, these online things like Turo, Airbnb, all of that? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the benefits that you see and just the barrier to entry to start, really?
Yeah. The service-based business is I feel like the best business for someone who doesn't come from a family who has a lot of capital, and it's something that you may be looking to do on a part-time basis. Mm-hmm. The biggest factor is capital. Okay, a service-based business is easy to start. Mm-hmm. It's an easy sell if you package it correctly, which I can teach you to do, and you actually can do it in your local market, and you can grow your business through word of mouth over time. And so that's why I think it's the best business to start. For somebody who's just starting out with little to no capital, it's a good business to get into.
Yeah, so let's hone in on the word capital, right? Mm-hmm. So when you say it's a business that doesn't require a lot of capital, because when people want to start, let's use just the easy ones, Airbnb, you still have to get leases, decorate the business. Turo, you have to go get cars, hard inquiries in your credit report, whatever those may be. Right. When someone wants to start a service-based business, like, not even just making the numbers seem so low to make people want to do it, but realistically, it seems like sometimes it may just a mop and a bucket, you know what I'm saying? A couple cleaning supplies. Like, what does it take just for someone who's been maybe let go of their job to just say, I'm gonna start cleaning houses, I'm gonna start cleaning carpet by next week, I need to be up and running? Like,
well, it's because it is that easy. So let's say you wanted to start a window cleaning business. All you would need is a bucket and some squeegees and some maybe some flyers, some way to get the word out about your business.
Yeah. So, like, when it comes to somebody who wants to get started, right? To get started in a cleaning business, maybe they just got let go of their job, right? What I'm thinking is, because it's not a business like Airbnb where I got to go get a lease, right? And now I got to furnish it. It's not a business like Turo where I got to get hard inquiries on my credit report and get these cars and manage it. If you just got let go from a job, I'm thinking you could probably get a mop and a bucket and possibly be started within a week after you just letting people know on Facebook and stuff like that.
One thing you got to understand about the service-based business, it's a need-based business. So basically, you're solving a problem for the customer. And a lot of times, you're dealing with the residential homeowner. So you're dealing directly with the decision maker, okay? And it's something that they already have a problem that they want solved. And so if you're in a position to solve their problem, it's an easy sell. Whereas like Turo, I don't know too much about Turo and Airbnb, but that's a very complex situation. You might be dealing with a lot of vacancy rates. But when you're talking about home services, it's a constant need for people. And a lot of times it's things that they can do themselves, but they just don't want to do. So,
and see, I like that you said that as well too, because what I'm thinking is, like you said, it's not a hard sell versus like even what I do with building funnels and stuff. Sometimes you have to convince people to why they need it. But like how we've got the guys in the studio right now building, like I know that I need this wall painted. I know that I need this floor changed. I'm not really looking to be sold. I'm more so looking for availability. And that's where it's a win for anyone looking to do this. Definitely. And then before we get into that, just the whole background story, another nugget that I was thinking about as well when it comes to like the service-based business is sometimes we get stuck, and this is our transition into the corporate world. We get stuck at this corporate job because that corporate job may be paying you $4,000, $5,000 a month. Right. But when you really think about it, you can easily duplicate $4,000 to $5,000 a month doing service-based business. Easily. But like the corporate world has us just stuck because there's a couple like the structure or the safeness or whatever. But joining something like this, you could be your own boss.
Well, you know what? When I left corporate America 7 years ago, the one thing I realized is that once you leave that environment, you actually get a chance to actually think, because they keep you so busy working that you can't see clearly. Yeah. You can only see this job, and you don't realize all the opportunities that are available outside of that. You know, we were raised and conditioned to basically go to work and get this corporate job and have a salary and have insurance and, you know, live happily ever after. But that time is really kind of past. And so I think we move beyond that. And you also, even people who do have corporate jobs, we're in a time now, Tony, where you got to have a side hustle as well. Yeah. And so this could be something that is for someone who actually doesn't want to quit their full-time job, but they just want to supplement their income as well.
Yeah. So, and I like that a lot too, because like we're about to talk about the corporate side, but as we go into this segment, like what he just said is, you know, you could either do this full-time or you could do this on the weekends. Like I told you, I know I have a friend who's a full-time doctor. Yeah. And then those half of the month when he's off, because it's like 14 on, 14 off, he's pressure washing. You know what I mean? And it kind of goes to what you said about in today's day and age, you need that side hustle, you know, or that side hustle one day turns into the full-time. And the thing that's good about that for anyone that's listening, this isn't one of those offers where we're like, just cold turkey everything and start this business. Like just start it out on Saturdays and Sundays, you know, or maybe even in the evenings. I know an electrician who his thing was like, he goes to work, he works for Amazon, does like the electrician stuff there. And at 5, 6 o'clock, he does one job, you know what I'm saying? He does that a couple times per week, and that's that extra. So let's talk about corporate lie to service guy. I want to know the corporate story of where it was a lie, because this guy is educated, master's degree. He's done everything that you was supposed. He even went to Catholic school. You know what I'm saying? So you did everything in a sense that society would say do. When was it a big lie for you?
So you want the short version or the long version?
Yeah, we can we'll break it all through.
All right. So let me go back to the beginning, and I'll try and collapse time frames for you. So basically, I'm a kid of the 1980s, right? And so luckily for me, you know, I had both a mother and a father. And what I saw them do back then is they would go to work for the same company for 30 years, and then they could retire with a pension or retirement, you know. So being that I grew up in that, I was fed the mantra of go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and live happily ever after. And, one thing, Tony, with me, when I was younger, I was a very good athlete. So I ran track and I played football.
Okay.
And so as I went through high school, and I was going into college, I got a college scholarship. And so I didn't think at the time, like, okay, well, maybe I can go into the trades or maybe I can start a business. It was just, okay, if I go to school, I can get a degree and then I can get a good job. And so I went off to school to play football, okay? My first year I played, I lettered, and everything. And I could have went on with that, but, I was kind of burnt out with football. I was kind of burnt out because once you get into college, it's like a business. It's not fun anymore. Now, I wish I would have probably stuck to it. A couple $1 million would have been okay.
Yeah.
But I chose to stop because I wanted to kind of keep my body and my mind intact. It's a very violent sport. And so I transferred schools, and I told myself at that time, I said, well, everybody's been telling me just to get this degree and I'll be fine. And so I decided just to go to school and get a college diploma. And so after those 4 years, I went out into the real world and I got a job in insurance, And so I'm working there and they're paying me, you get your first job, they give you a salary and they say, well, you'll get $35,000. Now you never made any money before. So you're like, oh man, this is okay.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing that $35,000 is not what you don't factor in taxes, insurance and all that. But at the same time too, even though it was only $35,000, I was thinking in an old school manner, like, okay, I'll work for this company. I'll work hard. They'll see that I'm a hard worker. I'm dedicated to the company. I'm loyal to the company. And then I can get promoted. And then what I came to figure out was that was a lie. After 3 years, I was working in the same position, And so after that, I was like,
small raises or any raises?
I mean, very small raises,
Yeah.
3% raises or something like that. It'd be extra, $50 on your paycheck. And so I realized, started looking around, I'm like, this whole corporate thing, it's not working, And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of collapse things a little bit.
Yeah.
So one day I'm sitting in my cubicle and I'm watching. I'm looking for a different avenue to make money, and I saw this guy, and he owned a service-based business, and he started talking about his business and how much money he was making, and I'm like, this dude is making 4 times the amount that I'm making. I'm sitting in this cubicle. I got my sweater on and my khakis on and everything. And this guy's working in work boots and he's making 4 times the amount. And so that's really when I discovered, like, this whole thing is not what they told me it was.
Yeah. And did you work anywhere after that? Like any other, like, because what about the person that's like, well, the corporate guy who's like, well, he didn't try. He only worked at that one spot. Like,
see, I collapsed time frames a little bit.
Yeah.
So after my first stint, I was working at State Farm at that point.
Okay.
I was sitting in a cubicle for them, and then I worked for Aetna Corporation.
So you were going through the insurance ladder, just running through there.
It worked for Nationwide Insurance, and then at that point, when I got to Nationwide, that's when I decided to go out and start my own service-based business. But during that time, what happened was I had started a gourmet popcorn business.
Okay.
I wanted to sell gourmet popcorn in the stores, but I opened up a retail space before that. And so that business went under because I had a huge rent bill.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was selling, a product that was $5. So imagine how many packages of popcorn I'd have to make just to cover the rent and all
Yeah.
that.
And then that $5 is not really $5 because you got to factor in the box, the popcorn, how much it costs to make. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what I learned from that was those 4 pillars that I was talking about, because I was stuck in this retail space where if the customers weren't coming in, I couldn't sell to anybody. So that's where I came up with the mobility piece. And then the rent side, I was like, I need something that has low overhead. I'm not paying thousands of dollars in rent. And then also too, the service that you provide generally is a minimum of $100. And so that way, you have a high margin. And also you need something that's in demand from the consumer. And so, like I said, home services is always going to be in demand because when you own a home, you always have to do something to maintain it. And so that's where those 4 pillars came from.
Got you. I want to also I want to just promote how good a service-based business can be, right? Because even though that I'm doing like funnels for people, it's a service-based business, but yours, the sweet spot with yours is with your service base, I'm trying to get to like how the capital expenditure is not so high. So I want to touch on like when you tried that first business and you got a lease and that was expensive and that didn't work, because a lot of times when we first start a business, we may skip over like, just let me get a paintbrush, let me get a lawnmower, let me get this, whatever that local service business is. And we're like, let me go get a lease, right? Now you've just secured yourself for 3 years in a contract. Definitely. And you owe that money. Whether your business went well or not, you know what I'm saying? It kind of puts you in more danger, more risk. Yeah. So what I want to show you to kind of just elaborate on that experience and how the service-based business just makes more sense. And for somebody, let's say you have a family that's dependent on you, right? The service-based business, the local service-based business, if there's a bad week, it's not really like crushing on you, versus when you've got the lease, I mean, you still got the lights, the utility, the people to man it, right, to where you're always taking from the household to try to keep this going to support the household. So let's talk more about that experience versus just the local business that you can start.
Yeah, Tony, so what you're talking about really is sustainability. And that is really the biggest factor in a business succeeding. Okay? So if you get into a retail space, like you said, you have a down month or a down week, you still have all these expenditures. So what you need to do, and the good thing about a service business is it eliminates all that to a certain extent, okay? Because you don't have to pay rent, because basically what you're gonna need is a vehicle. It could be a car, it could be a pickup truck, it could be a van, depending on what you're doing.
Which could still be your main vehicle at the same. Yep.
Right? And so that eliminates that, because you already have to pay a car payment. Okay? And then when you're providing these services, the cost to provide these services, the cost of, you would call it cost of goods sold, is very low. I mean, it could be a few dollars, you know. And then after that, you're pretty much good to go. Your biggest expense will be getting the word out, marketing, and then also just gas to move around. As opposed to a huge rent bill of thousands of dollars in a retail space.
Let's talk about the person who's in immediate need, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the person who unexpectedly the corporate lie hit them and they thought that they were good, and then, hey, it wasn't you, but we need to downsize. Your position's gone. When they get started in this, what would you say advice-wise the first way to get your first couple of clients? What would you do?
So what you need in business, you need eyeballs. Okay. The good thing about the era that we're living in now, we're in a digital age. So think about the customer. Where are they going to look when they need a problem solved? They're going to go to the computer. They're going to type in whatever service they need. You know, they're going to type in carpet cleaning,
TV or hang in
whatever state that you're in. And so what you can do to position yourself to get that client is you can set up a Google Ads account and you can put that keyword in. And that's how people find you now. They don't find you in the yellow pages anymore,
right?
Or through the mail. So I talk about that in my system that I set up, is how to set up your marketing so that you can be found by clients. And so in today's world that we live in, you have to be online to be found. You have to have a website and everything like that. And that's something I help people with as well.
Got you. Would you say, just starting out, let's just say crisis mode, that there's some easier things that possibly could happen? Like, would you recommend people go to like the Facebook marketplaces and post what they do, the Craigslist and stuff like that?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Well, you also have social media. So I have Instagram, Facebook, you have Snapchat. You have all these outlets where you can promote yourself. So if you don't have a huge budget, and the thing about Google is you can't control it. Now, when you do start a business, you have to have some type of money. You know, you have to have a little something. You don't have to have a huge amount, but you can leverage those free platforms to get your your business out there as well.
Got you. And then something else that I was thinking about too is when, like you said, with the service-based business, it's not a hard sell, right? It's more, and see, psychology-wise, when I'm talking about selling, it's always with pain points. So like, since you focus on the carpet cleaning in your business, that pain point is them looking at that stain. They want it gone. They want to come home and just see cleanness, right? So you being available is what's going to get you that sale. But the good thing about it from a marketing standpoint is you don't have to be the most popular guy either. It's just, if you were using like your organic sales channels like Instagram and Facebook, just you posting your jobs when you go there, people are like, oh, you do that? You know what I mean? And then you get the work. So you don't have to focus on likes and views and that. You more so need portfolio, because the painter that's painting our studio, I'm like, why don't you put all your jobs on your thing? Like, for instance, in the studio, I'm looking at getting sound panels, right? I went and found my sound panel guy that did it before. I had to go look him up. So that's one thing we need to talk about, is the systems that local service-based businesses need. But he had like 3 likes on everything. I didn't care. I was more so looking at the jobs to see if he could do what my vision was, you know? So when it comes to that, I think it's a really good arena for people to play in, because it's not about clout, you know, it's just about you being available. But let's just talk about some of the downsides that I do see in the local service-based business and how you can help them. I had mentioned to you, a lot of local businesses are just referral, 1,000%, to where even the guy that I may have used 2 years ago, I got to go do my homework to find him, because I'm like, what was his name? What was his number? What are ways with your program that you offer that you think you can kind of solve that for these local based businesses, to where they're not chasing clients? They're more so like, well, they're always attracting because of referrals, but to a level to where it's like, there's something to where it's like, you know, they're putting themselves out there to get those callbacks.
Right. So, one of the things people need to understand about the consumer in the marketplace, when they're looking for these particular services, they're not always concerned about who has the most reviews or who does the best work. Okay. So when you set up your business, if you can position yourself to, and I can show you how to do this, where you can look like a professional franchise, because they don't know if you're new in the marketplace or not necessarily. They have a problem that they need solved, okay? And so if you're able to position yourself in a professional manner and you have a franchise quality business, you can get that customer, okay? And I know that was another aspect. What was the last aspect of your question?
More so, how can a local service-based business do more outreach so that their current client base keeps calling them versus, you know, their current client base almost forgetting who they were? Because a lot of times you may find that local service person through Thumbtack, through Facebook, through whatever, they did the job, but they didn't build the relationship. But the customer's going to need them again.
So really, like you said, Tony, the most important aspect is maintaining the relationship. You know, acquiring the customer is important, but if the customer had a great experience with you, you want to figure out a way to keep them in your customer database so that they can be a revenue stream ongoing into the future. So one of the systems that I can help you set up is an email marketing system, a CRM system, or customer relationship management system that you can maintain that relationship through constant contacts throughout the year. And those are systems that I can actually help you set up when you go through the system that I've created.
Got you. And talk about the book that you wrote, like Corporate Lie to Service Guy, right? So I know that's the brand. Definitely check out the YouTube. We're going to make sure it's pinned below. But like, talk about what's different from the book versus, you know, your YouTube that's getting good traction. Like, why would they get the book versus watch you on YouTube?
Well, the book actually goes into my story. So basically what the book is about, it's about a paradigm shift that happened during my generation. Okay. It's about something, it was like an unseen paradigm shift. And so what a lot of people don't understand and what makes a lot of people frustrated, right? They don't understand the system that we live in America. Okay? We live in a system of capitalism, okay? And under that system, it has a set of rules. So a lot of times people see like these rich people, and they're always like, well, why don't they have to pay any tax? And, they make all this money. They don't have to pay any taxes because they understand the system that we live under. And so the book talks about how I made the transition from a corporate employee to a service-based business owner. And that transition is the key component to you actually succeeding in this system that we live in, okay? And so that's what the book talks about. It talks about going from the 1980s all the way up to around the time I graduated. What happened in between that time that would make someone with a college degree or a master's degree go out and start their own business? Okay? The reason why I did that is I wanted to position myself to basically win under the system of capitalism. Okay? And the way you can kind of look at that is when I was a corporate employee, right? Let's say I got paid $1,000. Okay, the structure that we live under as a corporate employee, I get taxed before I actually make any money. So I get a tax of 30%, let's say. And so what do I come home with? I come home with $700. What I realized, somebody told me, you said, Aaron, how does the government generate funds? They generate funds by entrepreneurs who sell a product or a service. So by positioning yourself as a business owner, you're actually able to align yourself with the government, and you'll receive incentives for starting a business. So if you start a business and you generate that same $1,000, you get to spend business expenses before you're actually taxed. So let's say you have $900 in business expenses. Now you're only taxed on the $100, and your tax rate is only going to be about 21%. So whereas the corporate employee had a tax of $300, the business owner only has a tax of $21 if you're able to follow that math.
100%.
So basically, that's what I talk about in the book. That's why I went from the corporate lie to a service guy. I basically just positioned myself from a corporate employee, a W-2 earner, into a business owner.
Got you.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I like that a lot too, because the big thing too, the underlying thing that I should say as well, is when you refer to the big guys that don't pay the taxes and then like the different tax rates as well, is just understanding the game that is being played. Exactly. And then when you understand the game that's being played, that's how you can win, versus feeling like you're suppressed under the rock of like, in the corporate world, we feel like every day you just hack away at the tree and hopefully it'll get better. But it was never really designed to uplift you. It's just designed to like keep you in a state of just floating to where you haven't fallen, but you haven't really risen to where you really want to go yet. And the most times that people get there is risk, but it's like, what's the other side of risk, right? And the thing that I like about the service-based business is that can sound scary to say like the other side of risk, but with your style of business, it's not that much risk. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm looking at like, you could pretty much, whichever business that you want to start, there's someone that needs your service, right? And it's also not a service that makes, and I don't want to hate on my credit people or whatever, right? But like, let's just say, for instance, like credit repair is a service, but it's kind of like a unforeseen, like, is this really going to work? With yours, it's like, I need my carpet clean. I need the grass cut. I need, whatever the service is. Within 24 hours of them showing up, most of the time the job is done. So they see an immediate return on what they spent. So that's the awesome part about it for sure. My next question would be, is somebody who is like, okay, sounds super easy, right? I can get a bucket, I can get some water. Where is your program going to help them outside of them just going to Home Depot, getting some supplies and starting?
So what my program is going to do is going to help you eliminate costly mistakes. It's going to actually.
Let's pause right there.
Okay.
What would be some costly mistakes when someone first starts their business?
Buying the wrong equipment could be one thing. Also, too, different marketing platforms that you might invest in.
Yeah.
That are going to, because the marketing dollars is your main source of leads. And so if you invest in the wrong marketing platform, you can lose a lot of money.
Yep.
So basically I'm going to show you the right platforms to market on. And also too, some other mistakes that you might run into as a business owner is just investing in, the wrong, it could be brochure, like maybe your brochures or I show you how to I actually set up templates for your website, for your brochures. That's all done for you. So you don't have to just go out and get different designs done. It's all plug and play. So
it's pretty much like a local business in a box, in a sense. Got you. So then they come through your program. It's like, yes, everything's online that you can learn, but it's more strategic and outlined so that when you get started, that you're not making those costly mistakes by they said just go to Google and then you spend the whole budget on Google, but you don't understand what the Google needs to connect to. So once they see you, they get the leads, and you probably tell them as well. I don't know if this is in your program, but I think it would probably be good to just how to work with the client, because sometimes you get the local service business people and it's just so unprofessional in the sense of how they charge you, how they invoice you, and you think it's here's the job may cost this, but by the end of it, it was triple the cost. I think that would be something that people should know how to do that's starting out. And I know that I'm coming from the context of people like crisis management, starting this business because of low barrier. But
yeah, that's all in my program. I teach you how to book appointments by phone. I also teach you how to actually service the client. Some of the small things that you can do psychologically when you're with the customer that help you maybe where you can upsell the client. All of those things, I include that in the program as well.
Got you. And then when you said, going back to the point of with this, where it's such a great business, since it's not a hard sell, you don't really have to do too much competing from the other guy. It's more so when they call you, they're very much so interested. So it's not like they're really pinning you up against three other in your world with the carpet cleaning. Are you ever competing against three other carpet cleaning companies?
Well, the one thing about a local service-based business that people have to understand too is that your competition, they're kind of lacking. So there's a hole in the market where you can actually go in. If you're professional, that's the first key point that you can address to basically set you apart from your competition. If you just answer the phone,
right?
Okay? If you just answer the phone, you can get business, which could be hundreds of dollars. Because I've had many people call and say, I called these companies, they didn't even answer the phone.
Yep.
So there's a huge opportunity there for people who are hungry and actually want to make some money in business.
Yeah. So. Do you think that this makes sense? We live in a virtual world, of course, but a lot of times when you call someone that's going to do a local service business for you, they'll actually drive all the way to you just to give you the quote. Now, yes, that could be great for a relationship, but is that just a unneeded cost that can kind of shoot you in the foot from driving all these places?
Well, it depends on what type of service you're providing. If it is a higher end service, you would probably have to go out and actually do a consultation with the customer, but you can charge, let's say $25 to come out and do an estimate.
And then roll that into
but some services you can actually provide a quote over the phone and let the customer know that this is just an estimate. It may change when we get there, but there's a lot of things that you can use like Google Earth. So you can actually look at the home and see, give you a good idea what you'd be looking at in terms of price.
Got you. And I know that your program's for all service-based business, but what's Erin's top 3 or top 5 that you'd recommend?
You can go, what I want to give you is something that's not going to be a high cost to get into. Yeah. So you could be looking at pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning. You can do commercial cleaning as well, office buildings. Yeah. I actually just got a contract just last week. It's a $3,000 contract per month plus other incentives too. And that's I'll probably be working or have somebody in there working, let's say like 10 hours a week. If I wanted to have somebody working in that commercial office, so let's say 10 hours a week, at the end of the month, I still would be profiting $1,000 on that.
What's your advice for like staffing, right? Because let's say, once again, we're talking about a low overhead business. And when I say advice, it doesn't even have to be like what sounds good on the podcast, but like just having help, but not having that full-time help. How do you start doing that as your service-based business starts growing? And you're like, okay, you know, like I need a guy, I need some help, but like, what's your advice for people when they start growing?
The biggest thing people have to understand too is like, it's not a overnight thing. You have to grow the business. You have to work, you know, it's not a get rich quick thing. So you may want to start off in your business, and it may just be you at first. And let's go to the commercial cleaning side. Let's say you got 2 contracts and you're making, you know, $6,000 to $7,000 a month. And a lot of times those are nightly contracts. So what you can do is you can actually hire somebody part-time, but you got a contract and you know you got guaranteed income coming in. So that's another way that you can offset your risk as well. If you know you're going to get paid at the end of the month, you know, that can actually, you know, contribute to you actually hiring somebody and, you know, feeling confident that you'll be able to make payroll.
Got you. Yeah, I like that a lot. So when it comes to like what I'm hearing too is like when it comes to the local service-based business, a lot of people get scared because, and let's talk about this, I always like tearing down like limiting beliefs. Yeah. They're like, well, I got to roll my sleeves up now. You know what I mean? But I think the better part about it is you're either going to roll up your sleeves or you're going to pay for all the expenses that it takes to grow these other businesses that you really still got to roll up your sleeves. Yeah. You know? And what typical type people do you usually see that like join into a local service-based business? Like what's like that main avatar for the person watching who's like wondering if this is for them?
The main person would be somebody who's frustrated with their job. Yeah. Like I was. Yeah. And they're in corporate America and they're looking for something else that they can do. Yeah. The other person is somebody who maybe they can't, you know, find a job. And it's like, you know, if you can't find a job, create one for yourself. You know? For the corporate people, I always say, look, I promoted myself because I was in corporate America and I was, you know, going to interviews and being the good guy, and I still couldn't move up. So I gave myself a promotion. So if you're in the corporate world and you're looking for, you know, something, just start something on the side. Yeah. You know, because at any time, that employer, they can let you go. So you can't always put all your eggs in one basket. You know, you have to bet on yourself at some point, invest in yourself, and believe in yourself at a certain point. And you can actually start your own thing. You can grow it over time. And then too, unlike a job, you know, you can pass it on to your kids. You know, you can actually build a business. Yeah. And you can pass it on to your kids. You can't do that with a job.
Right. What's your view now when you said pass on to your kids since you're a dad? What's your view just on college since you went through all of it? Yeah.
That's a great question. Yeah. And this is what people have been conditioned to think. And so I understand it. But college has gotten to a point where the cost is so high that it's almost not even worth it. Let's say tuition is $50,000 a year. It can easily be $50,000 a year at this point. And what people have to understand too is back in my parents' generation, let's say they came out of school with debt. It was like $2,000, $3,000. I mean, you could pay that off, you know, working at McDonald's. Yeah. But now what's happening is kids are coming out of school with $200,000 worth of debt, right? And so it's you say 200,000, but it's more than that because it's interest.
Oh, you're right.
There's interest on it.
It's like about having a whole additional home.
Yeah. And so, you know, what you can do though now in today's day and age, let's say you do want to just get a job, you can just get an IT certificate, you know, which is maybe a couple $1,000s, and then you can make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. Okay. Right. So as far as college is concerned, That's an individual's choice. I don't have a problem with education. I have a master's degree in business, okay? But I just feel like at this point, the cost is outweighed its, the usefulness.
Especially without having guaranteed placement, because like you said back in the day with your parents, it was more so like it was that placement, you know, that came with it. Now it's like you're still out there in the wind. I mean, I believe the best part about college is the exposure, the networking, the learning, but it's very much so an individual choice at this point when you weigh how much it costs for what you're going to truly get. Because you're right, with the Google certificates, the IT, all of this stuff, it's like, I know people in tech who are going through their certificate programs and making $100,000+ working from home. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing. It's like you're investing in a piece of paper, but that doesn't guarantee you a job.
Right.
It doesn't guarantee you a job. And so, when you start your own thing, you can always, like I said, it's really up to you.
Yeah.
How aggressive you are, as far as marketing your business, if you're willing to go to different places and network, to generate business. It's really on you at that point.
Yeah.
And that's another good thing that, I learned throughout this journey that I've been on, really. It's all on me. I can't blame anybody.
Yeah.
I can't blame anybody. If my business doesn't work out, I can't blame anybody but myself.
Right.
Whereas when I was in corporate America, I could say, well, they didn't give me this job because of this. And, that's not the type of person I am. I'm all about self-reliance. And then too, I'm not really into like somebody giving me something, it's all on me now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about just the overall program. Someone's watching this. They're like, this makes sense. I'm not scared to take that. Well, before I get there, to spin it to there. What was day one of taking that leap like?
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying? Like you're frustrated at your corporate job and you're like, I'm about to do this. What was that like?
That's a whole story. So what I did was I had decided that I wanted to start my own business.
Were you dreading every day, like going to
on Sundays, man, my stomach would start turning,
Yeah.
And so I had already knew how to put a business together because of my previous, experience. So I had made the decision. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm like, I don't want to be in this job. But what I did was I started planning like a year in advance. So when I would come home from work, I would, use that, it's like you work your 9 to 5, right? What do you do from 6 to 12?
Right.
You're willing to put all this energy into a 9 to 5. What are you willing to put into yourself? And so like a year prior, I was planning out my business. I was setting up my website. I was getting on my marketing. I was getting on my systems together, my phone system, all this stuff, right? And so once I got everything set up, at the time, what I did, I bought some flyers, and I sent out these flyers, right?
Yeah.
I sent out like 1,000 flyers. And I'm at
Send
work.
them out to like people's homes, like mailers?
Yeah, I talk about that in the program.
Okay.
That's another
nice.
marketing tactic that you can use, and I talk about that. So I sent out 1,000 flyers. And the craziest thing happened, Tony. Somebody called me. And I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And, at the time, man, I didn't even have a van. I didn't have any, like, equipment. I had some equipment to do the job, but I didn't have a van or anything. So I went out and rented a van. And then, I had to, go out and service the client. Once again, he doesn't know that I don't have a van. I don't have this and that. He just know he have this problem. He got this mailer saying I can solve his problem. So I went to the door. I was scared. I was nervous.
Yeah.
And then he asked me, he was like, what's up with your van? Like a U-Haul van. I was like, man, my other van's in the shop, And he was like, oh, okay. So he doesn't even worry about that. He just wants his problem taken care of. But then after that, man, it's like all the butterflies on the way. Now I don't even think about, it's really like, it's just natural.
I like how you, that's a great idea. Like, even though we're in a digital world, just like the mailers and all that stuff going there. So let's talk about the program. What's the name of the program?
You can go to theserviceblueprint.com. So it's a service blueprint. And basically, like you said, it's a business in a box.
Yeah.
Okay? I take you from the beginning of the formation of your business. I teach you how to set up all your systems. And along the way, I give you motivation throughout the whole program each week.
Like a support system. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, there's so many different aspects of setting up a business. You have to set it up properly in order for you to maybe position yourself for getting business credit. So you'll learn about getting business credit. You'll learn about all the marketing techniques for local service-based businesses.
Because I see in here they get the 6-figure business strategy, low-cost, high-profit service-based businesses they can start, how to LLC, the website design, social media. It's a lot. Business credit, financial options, phone script. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff in here. And it's pretty much all in a box, in a sense. You know what I mean? That's delivered to them to where they don't really have a reason to fail, because if they're getting all the systems that took you a year, that's the thing you got to think about. Yeah. You sat and took a year to build this while you were at work. You're trying to expedite that startup process. So if you are frustrated in your current situation, you don't have to spend a year. I already built the blueprint for you. Yeah, I'm just giving you the blueprint.
They can learn from my mistakes. My costly mistakes, the amount of money that I lost to learn all this stuff that I included in this program. They get it all in one program. And then two, like you said, along with the costly mistakes, it's also a matter of collapsing the time that it would take for you to actually start your business. It took me I took a year, but you can, I would recommend that people start on a part-time basis and slowly go through the program and set up your business, and I teach you how to do all that from A to Z.
Got you. That's awesome. And then they can find your program where again? How do they get there?
They can go to www.theserviceblueprint.com.
Okay, cool. And then before we get out of here, what's just some last words that you want to give the person, right? So I want you to think about this. The person that was you, they're sitting there, they're frustrated, and their stomach is turning on Sunday when they're thinking about going back to work. What is that last words of advice you want to give them?
Man, the last words of advice I can give them is that you got to believe in yourself. You got to invest in yourself, That's the first step that you have to take, is that you have to believe that you can do it. And you can, because it's really not that hard. We've been conditioned to just work jobs. And what people don't realize is that there's really more opportunity, because when you're a business owner, because your income is not capped like a salary. So you can build up a business and you can probably make double what you're making now, but you just don't know it. But at the same time, you can actually limit your risk by staying at your job. And let's say you're at 70,000 in your job, but you want to get to 6 figures. That side business, you might be able to make an extra 40,000. That'll take you into that 6-figure range. So I just want to tell people that they can do this. They need to invest in themselves and just believe in themselves. And then two, if you purchase the program, it's going to basically eliminate all of those mistakes, and it's going to basically give you the support that you need. Along with the business program, you can actually access me through consultation if that's something that you'd like to do as well.
That's good. That's good. A thing that I want to say too before we wrap up is, in today's time, even when you say that number 70,000, even for kids coming out of school, back then that used to sound good, but that's really not. In today's time, it looks good. Oh, here's your offer letter, 70,000, but just explain how fast that can go. You know what I'm saying? So because what I'm thinking about is, it's not even in crisis mode, like you have nothing. Like, they should be doing something, and it's about believing in themselves. So just break down, like, in your head, like, the reality of $70,000 in corporate, of what that gets you in today's time. Like,
well, let's think about it. You're probably making what, let's say 70,000, because let me take you back a little bit, 20 years, right? I remember, like, when I was in graduating college, and everybody's getting their offer letters and everything. I remember this guy. He was like, they gave me 45,000, and that, you think at the time, like, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But let's say the 70,000. If you're getting taxed 30%, that's 21,000. So you're really only getting 59?
Yeah.
49.
Oh yeah, 49.
You're only getting $49,000. Now, out of that 49,000, rent today is 2,000.
Yeah.
So you got what, 25,000. You got to have a nice car.
Yeah, you got
You
to.
just graduated college. You got a good job. That car payment is what?
600, 700. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then you got to have insurance.
Yeah.
Then hold on. If you went to school, you got student loan. That's gonna be $500 a month.
Yeah.
And that's where the money's gone. You
Yeah.
got electric, and then don't have any kids.
Yeah.
So that's 70,000. It sounds like a lot, but it's gonna be gone.
Yeah. And see, that's where it changes, because I've got a friend, one of my neighbors, we went to college together, and he works at AT&T, good job, right? I don't know what his salary is, but he's also a photographer. And I asked him, and he said his side business, photography, which he only does in the evenings when he gets booked or on weekends, he said that's 60% of what he's making in the corporate world. So when you think about how much more comfortable he is living, it's like he has the insurance and the security of the main job. Yeah. But then he's got the extra revenue on the entrepreneurial side, but it's also letting that creative passion flow because he's doing something he truly cares about versus just over here. So I would say to anybody, to tag along with, your words, is this isn't something like, you don't have to be in one pot. You know what I mean? Like if you're working your job and it's cool and you got the security that you want, still be you, still take care of your side by doing the things that you want to do. So if you're interested in this, definitely check my guy Erin out at theserviceblueprint.com and let them know social media, where they can find you, your YouTube, all of that.
So definitely you can go to Instagram, Corporate Line of Service Guy on Instagram. On YouTube, it's CLS Observations and Conversations. You can go to the Service Blueprint for the program. And then also you can go to corporatelybook.com, and I'm going to be giving away a free copy to my book just for Tony having me on the show. So go to corporatelybook.com to get a free copy of the book.
Awesome. You heard it. That's my guy, Erin Purdue. Check him out. You could do this. The risk level's not high. Perfect business to get started, whether you're working, not working. And we'll see you on the next episode. Check the links below to tap in with my guy. Peace.
Peace, man.